the impact of surrounding yourself with the right people. There comes a time in every person's life when you must take inventory, not of your possessions, not of your money, not even of your achievements, but of your people. Because the truth is, who you walk with will determine where you end up. You cannot build a destiny surrounded by those who are comfortable with mediocrity. You cannot rise to purpose if you're constantly surrounded by people who are allergic to growth. Sometimes the reason you feel stuck is not because you lack ability, but because you're connected to the wrong energy. You're trying to fly while carrying people who are committed to crawling. You're trying to build a future while surrounded by voices that remind you of your past. Your environment is shaping you even when you're not aware of it. The people you allow close to your heart are planting seeds, some of encouragement, some of doubt, some of fear, some of faith. And if you don't guard your garden, you'll start growing weeds instead of fruit. Every great dream needs the right atmosphere to survive. Just like a seed cannot grow in poisoned soil, your purpose cannot thrive in a toxic circle. You must be intentional about who gets access to your time, your energy, and your spirit. Some relationships are seasonal, meant to teach you something and move you forward. The danger comes when you try to make a seasonal connection permanent. You start shrinking yourself to keep people comfortable, hiding your light to make others feel secure, and before long, you forget who you are. The right people don't compete with your destiny, they complete it. They don't pull you down when you rise. They lift their hands and celebrate your growth. They challenge you to be better, not bitter. They push you toward vision, not distraction. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and even for them, is to walk away. It's not arrogance, it's alignment, because when God wants to elevate you, He often exposes who can't go with you, not because they're bad, because they're not built for where you're headed. So stop feeling guilty for outgrowing people who had no intention of growing with you. Stop apologizing for being focused, disciplined, and purpose-driven. Surround yourself with people who see the greatness in you even when you doubt it yourself. People who remind you of what's possible when you start settling for less. Your circle should reflect your calling. Your friendships should echo your future. Your environment should mirror your evolution, because destiny is never discovered in isolation. It's developed in the right association. So today, make a decision: no more comfortable chaos, no more forced connections, no more draining conversations that lead nowhere. Surround yourself with people who help you stretch, not shrink. People who pray for you behind closed doors, who speak life into your dreams, and who remind you that you're capable of more. Your environment is more powerful than you think. It is more than just the place you live or the people you see. It's the atmosphere that shapes your thinking, molds your habits, and influences your destiny. Every environment carries a spirit, a tone, and energy that seeps into the soul and begins to construct your perspective. You may not always notice it, but slowly, silently, your surroundings begin to determine your standards. You become what you consistently see, hear, and experience. If you plant a seed in rich soil, it will grow. But if that same seed is placed in a dry, polluted ground, it may never even sprout. The difference isn't in the seed, it's in the soil. And many times you are that seed. You have potential, you have purpose, you have promise, but if you remain in the wrong environment, your potential will suffocate. You'll start doubting what you were born to do simply because everything around you speaks against it. The soil around you must match the seed within you. There are people who live their entire lives in environments that keep them small. They have dreams that never breathe, visions that never see daylight, and gifts that never get unwrapped. Not because they lack ability, because they settled for a toxic atmosphere. When you're constantly surrounded by negativity, fear, and limitation, you begin to absorb it. You start talking like your environment, thinking like your environment, and believing like your environment. Before long, you're living beneath your potential, calling it a reality. But what if your reality is simply the reflection of your surroundings? If you want to change your life, you have to change what you expose yourself to. You can't expect growth in a place that celebrates stagnation. You can't expect focus in a place full of distraction. You can't expect peace in a place where chaos is normal. You cannot walk into your destiny if your daily atmosphere contradicts your purpose. Growth requires an environment that challenges you, corrects you, and cultivates. It's not about perfection, it's about positioning. Think about the people you allow in your circle. Are they encouraging your evolution? Are they comfortable with your confusion? Are they watering your faith or feeding your fear? Your circle is a mirror of your mindset. You rise to the level of those you walk with. It's impossible to soar with eagles if you keep running with chickens. The right people stretch your capacity, wrong people shrink it. The right environment pushes you toward clarity, while the wrong one pulls you toward compromise. Even in silence, your environment speaks. It whispers through habits, routines, and priorities. You don't always need someone to tell you who you are becoming. Just look around. Look at what you tolerate. Look at what you consume daily. Look at who you listen to. The environment you create is the echo of your values. If you live in clutter, you think in confusion. If you live among dreamers, you start dreaming. If you live in an atmosphere of faith, you begin to expect the impossible. Sometimes you outgrow environments that once fit you perfectly. The place that used to feel like home can suddenly feel heavy. That's because growth changes your spiritual oxygen. You start gasping for something higher. The conversations that once entertained you now irritate you. The habits that once felt harmless now feel hollow. It's not pride, it's progress. You are awakening to a new dimension of yourself, and your old environment can no longer sustain your new vision. But this is where courage is required, because many people recognize they're in the wrong environment, but they stay out of fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being alone, fear of losing familiar comfort. Yet destiny is never found in comfort, it's found in change. You can't step into what's next while holding on to what's known. You must have the strength to walk away from what no longer feeds your future. When you start choosing your environment intentionally, you begin to protect your potential. You start creating a space that matches your mission. This could mean spending time in solitude, reading uplifting books, surrounding yourself with disciplined people, or even changing the physical spaces you occupy. It's not superficial, it's spiritual. The right environment doesn't just look different, it feels different. It carries peace, clarity, and focus. It invites growth rather than resistance. Every great transformation begins with a change in environment. When a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, it doesn't do it in the same place where it crawled. It finds a cocoon, a new environment designed for transformation. Inside that cocoon, things are dark, quiet, and hidden, but powerful. It's the environment that allows the change to happen. In the same way, when life starts isolating you, it might be because you're entering your cocoon season. You're being separated from what can't survive your next stage. Guard your environment like it's sacred, because it is. Your dreams, your purpose, your peace, all of it depends on what you allow around you. Protect your atmosphere from gossip, from doubt, from distraction. Don't let everyone speak into your life. Don't let everyone have access to your time or your energy. You are building something too important to be poisoned by careless influences. Your destiny is too divine to be shaped by small-minded environments. Choose to be around people who talk about purpose, not problems. People who see potential in you, even when you can't see it in yourself. People who challenge you to keep growing, keep believing, keep moving. Because when you surround yourself with the right atmosphere, you don't have to force success. It flows naturally. Even nature teaches us this. A plant doesn't strain to grow. It simply exists in the right conditions. It needs sunlight, water, and nourishment. And when those are present, growth is inevitable. The same is true for you. You don't have to strive endlessly. You just need to align your environment with your purpose. Get around people who breathe life into your dreams. Create spaces that inspire your discipline. Live in environments that feed your peace. Remember, every environment is either feeding your future or suffocating it. Every voice around you is either reminding you of your potential or rehearsing your past. Every space you enter is either building your faith or draining your focus. You have to decide what you will allow to shape you. Your environment is the invisible architect of your destiny. It determines your direction before you even realize you're moving. So build wisely, choose intentionally, live deliberately. Surround yourself with what aligns with where you're going, not where you've been. Because destiny doesn't just happen. It's cultivated in the right environment. And when your atmosphere begins to match your assignment, growth becomes unstoppable. You rise naturally, you think clear, you dream bolder, you move forward with conviction. Every person in your life is meant to walk with you into your destiny. Some are lessons, not lifetimes. Some are detours, not destinations. And if you don't learn how to recognize the difference, you'll keep giving your energy to connections that quietly drain your progress. Wrong connections are like leaks in a boat. You can row as hard as you want, but you'll never move forward as long as the water keeps getting in. It's a painful truth, but one of the main reasons so many people stay stuck is because they are attached to the wrong company. You can have big dreams, strong faith, and powerful intentions, but if the people around you don't share your vision, their energy will always pull you backward. Progress isn't just about movement, it's about direction. You can be busy, active, even productive, yet headed the wrong way because of the company you keep. Wrong connections drain you in ways you don't always notice at first. It starts subtly. You begin to downplay your goals so you don't make them uncomfortable. Silence your ideas so they don't call you too much. You start second-guessing yourself because their doubt becomes your echo. Before long, you're walking with people who have no interest in seeing you win, and the weight of their small thinking begins to wear you down. You cannot carry dead weight and expect to fly. You can't expect to stay focused while entertaining distractions disguised as friendships. The wrong people will exhaust your energy with endless drama, confusion, and negativity. They will always have something to say, but never anything to contribute. They will want your time, your attention, your advice, but not your elevation. Some people love you as long as you stay where they met you. The moment you begin to grow, they become threatened, distant, or critical. There are people who are comfortable with your struggle but uncomfortable with your success. They liked you better when you were broken because your brokenness made them feel whole. They liked you better when you were small because your humility made them feel important. But now that you're healing, now that you're dreaming again, now that you're becoming the version of yourself you were always meant to be, they can't handle it. And if you don't discern that, you'll keep watering connections that have no root in your future. Wrong connections can come dressed as loyalty. They can wear the mask of friendship, love, even mentorship, but loyalty without alignment is bondage. Some people stay in your life not to help you rise, but to make sure you never leave the level you're on. They'll smile at your progress while secretly hoping you fail. They'll applaud your potential, but never truly support your pursuit. It's not always hate. It's hidden fear. Fear that your growth will expose their stagnation. That's why discernment is essential. You must learn to distinguish between those who celebrate you and those who tolerate you, between those who invest in your growth and those who benefit from your gifts, between those who challenge you to become and those who convince you to settle. Progress cannot survive in a room full of wrong motives. The people closest to you will either be your ladder or your limitation. Sometimes you have to step back and ask yourself, why am I exhausted? Why do I feel drained after every conversation? Why does my peace disappear when they walk into the room? Energy doesn't lie. Your spirit knows when something or someone is off. You just have to stop explaining away your discomfort. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your life. Protect your peace like it's treasure, because it is. When you disconnect from the wrong people, you make space for the right ones. When you release what drains you, you attract what strengthens you. That release is often painful because we confuse familiarity with destiny. Just because you've known someone a long time doesn't mean they belong in your next chapter. Longevity does not equal loyalty. Loyalty does not always equal alignment, and you have to choose what's best for your growth, not what's easiest for your emotions. There will come a time when silence becomes your shield. You'll stop arguing, explaining, and defending yourself to people who were never meant to understand your calling. The more focused you become, the smaller your circle gets. That's not isolation, it's refinement. Progress requires peace, and peace cannot coexist with chaos. The wrong connections will always want your attention, but never your transformation. They'll cheer for the old you, but question the new you. Call your boundaries arrogance and your focus change. But you must remind yourself you were not created to please people. You were created to fulfill purpose, and purpose has a price. Sometimes that price is distance. When you walk away from what drains you, you walk toward what develops you. You'll start meeting people who speak to your potential instead of your pain. People who encourage your evolution instead of exploiting your emotions. People who push you to go higher, think deeper, and live better. These are not just friends, they're divine connections, catalysts for destiny. Wrong connections will drain your energy, delay your progress, and distort your perspective. They'll have you doubting your vision, questioning your worth, and compromising your standards. But right connections will remind you who you are, even when you forget. They'll see light in you even when life feels dark. They'll correct you when you drift and comfort you when you're discouraged. Progress requires pruning. Every gardener knows that if you want your plant to grow strong, you must cut off the branches that no longer bear fruit. The same is true in life. If you refuse to prune your circle, you'll eventually choke your potential. God cannot bless what you won't release. Sometimes elevation demands separation. It's not about hate, it's about health. You are not rejecting them, you're respecting your destiny. Don't apologize for protecting your progress. Don't feel guilty for walking away from what doesn't align. Every step you take away from a draining connection is a step closer to peace, clarity, and power. You cannot hear your purpose clearly while surrounded by noise. You cannot move forward while holding on to what holds you back. Your future deserves a circle that fuels it. Surround yourself with people who multiply your peace, not your pressure. People who correct you privately and celebrate you publicly. People who speak faith into your future and truth into your weakness. Because the right connections don't just support your progress, they sustain it. So take inventory of your connections. Ask yourself honestly, do they drain me or develop me? Do they inspire my growth or interrupt it? Do they build me or break me? If the answer exposes imbalance, it's time to make a change. You cannot fulfill your purpose in the company of those who are comfortable with your complacency. Life is too short and destiny is too great to stay connected to what drains you. Let go with grace, move forward with faith, and trust that what's meant for you will meet you on the path of progress. Because once you release the wrong connections, you make room for divine connections, and that's when your life begins to accelerate again. Your spirit is the most sacred part of who you are. It's the core of your identity, the wellspring of your strength, and the place where peace, faith, and purpose are born. Everything you are, your thoughts, your words, your actions flows from the condition of your spirit. That's why guarding it isn't optional, it's essential. If your spirit becomes polluted, everything in your life eventually reflects that contamination. The battles you fight outwardly are often won or lost in the unseen territory of your inner world. You can't always control what happens around you, but you can control what you allow to enter you. Every word, every image, every conversation, every connection, it either strengthens your spirit or weakens it. Life is constantly speaking, constantly influencing, constantly shaping. If you don't guard your spirit intentionally, the noise of the world will start defining your peace. You'll start carrying weights that were never yours, fighting battles that don't belong to you, and feeling empty without even knowing why. Guarding your spirit means paying attention to what feeds your soul. Just like your body needs healthy food, your spirit needs nourishing input. But too often we consume emotional junk food, gossip, comparison, negativity, fear, and wonder why our energy is low, our focus is scattered, and our faith feels faint. You can't keep filling your mind with darkness and expect your heart to glow with light. You can't expose your soul to confusion and expect to live with clarity. You have to be selective about what you let in. Everything that's available is beneficial. Not every opportunity is an assignment. Not every voice deserves your attention. Some things look harmless on the surface, but carry poison beneath the surface. Guarding your spirit means filtering your intake spiritually, emotionally, mentally, because whatever you allow repeatedly will eventually live in you. Think about the conversations you entertain. Every word carries energy. When you surround yourself with people who complain constantly, criticize others, or speak fear into every situation, that energy seeps into your spirit. Over time, you'll start mimicking it without even realizing it. You'll find yourself complaining about what used to excite you, doubting what you once believed, and feeling drained even after short interactions. That's not coincidence, it's contamination. Your spirit has been exposed to a toxic atmosphere. Guarding your spirit also means setting boundaries. Some people won't understand your peace because they live in chaos. They'll try to pull you into their storm, expecting you to fix what only faith can heal. Every time you let someone else's crisis consume your calm, your spirit suffers. You have to know when to step back and when to stand firm. Compassion doesn't mean carrying everyone's weight. Love doesn't mean losing yourself in someone else's mess. Protecting your spirit sometimes means saying no when everything in you wants to say yes. You must also guard your spirit from offense. Poisons the soul faster than bitterness. When you hold on to anger, resentment, or unforgiveness, it clogs the flow of peace within you. It's like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. Guarding your spirit doesn't mean you ignore pain. It means you refuse to let pain define you. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's a cleansing. It's how you keep your heart free from the toxins of yesterday. Because a wounded spirit can't carry a divine destiny. The truth is your spirit is always under attack. Challenge you, the enemy of your progress knows that if he can discourage your spirit, he can distract your purpose. If he can plant fear in your heart, he can slow your faith. If he can make you bitter, he can blind you to blessings. That's why you have to stay spiritually alert. Every day, you must renew your mind, feed your faith, guard your peace, because peace is power. A guarded spirit is an unshakable one. When your spirit is guarded, you can walk through storms without losing your stillness. You can face rejection without losing your worth. You can experience delay without losing your hope. You become anchored, not because life is easy, but because your foundation is secure. You start responding differently, thinking differently, seeing differently. The noise around you no longer dictates the calm within you. Guarding your spirit also requires solitude. You need quiet moments to refuel, to listen, to reconnect with the source of your strength. The world glorifies business, but your spirit grows in stillness. It's in those private, peaceful moments that clarity returns, that your heart realigns, that your faith refills. Don't underestimate the power of silence. It's a sanctuary for your soul. Be careful what you rehearse in your mind. The thoughts you repeat are the seeds you plant in your spirit. If you constantly replay failure, rejection, or fear, you will live from a defeated mindset. If you meditate on truth, gratitude, and possibility, your spirit will stay alive, hopeful, and strong. Guarding your spirit means mastering your focus. You cannot let negative voices rent space in your head. Evict them. Replace them with words of faith, life, and courage. You must also be mindful of the content you consume. What you watch, read, and listen to becomes part of you. It shapes how you think, what you believe, how you feel. Entertainment is not always harmless. It can be spiritual exposure. You cannot feed on darkness and expect to radiate light. What you consume disturbs your peace. It's contaminating your spirit. Protect your input and your output will transform. Sometimes guarding your spirit means walking alone. Growth will often isolate you from environments that no longer feed your soul. Don't mistake solitude for loneliness. It's preparation. When you're set apart, you're being strengthened. You're learning how to rely on divine guidance rather than crowd approval. A guarded spirit doesn't crave attention, it craves alignment. When your spirit is guarded, your discernment sharpens. You begin to sense things earlier. You feel when something is off before it fully unfolds. You know when a conversation is draining, when a connection is false, when a place no longer fits. That's not paranoia, it's protection. A guarded spirit sees beyond the surface. It doesn't fall for flattery. It doesn't chase validation. It knows peace is the ultimate confirmation. Guarding your spirit isn't about being hard. It's about being healthy. It's about keeping your inner world pure so that your outer world can flourish. Everything valuable in your life flows from your spirit, your joy, your creativity, your resilience, your faith. If your spirit is whole, you can recover from any loss, endure any storm, and rebuild after any setback. But if your spirit is broken, even success will feel empty. So take the time to protect your peace, purify your thoughts, and nurture your soul. Disconnect from what drains you. Release what no longer serves you. Surround yourself with what strengthens you. Feed your mind with truth and your heart with gratitude. Choose calm over chaos, depth over drama, stillness over noise, because your spirit is not just a part of you, it is you. And when you guard your spirit, everything else in your life aligns. Your relationships become healthier, your decisions become wiser, your perspective becomes clearer. You begin to live from the inside out, grounded in peace and guided by purpose. The storms will still come, but they won't shake you. The critics will still talk, but they won't distract you. The challenges will still rise, but they won't defeat you. Guard your spirit because it is your most priceless possession. Guard it from fear, from doubt, from negativity. Guard it from people who misuse your kindness, from environments that drain your joy, and from voices that confuse your calling. Guard it fiercely, tenderly, faithfully, because when your spirit is guarded, your destiny is protected, and a protected destiny is unstoppable. Life has a rhythm, and within that rhythm, everything has a season. People come and people go. Some arrive to teach you, some to stretch you, some to love you, others simply to awaken something inside you that you didn't even know existed. One of the hardest lessons you'll ever have to learn is that not every relationship is meant to last forever. Every person you start with is meant to stay with you until the end. And that's not failure, it's life. We often carry this quiet belief that every relationship that begins well should end well. We think that loyalty means longevity. Genuine love guarantees permanence. But time and purpose don't always run on the same track. There are people who come into your life for a chapter, not the whole story. They were essential for your growth, but not designed for your destiny. And if you don't learn to recognize when a season has ended, you'll keep watering relationships that have already withered. It's not easy to let go of people who once meant everything to you. The memories, the laughter, the promises, they hold weight. They make you believe that something so beautiful couldn't possibly have an expiration date. But growth changes things. You evolve, your energy shifts, your priorities mature, your values deepen. And sometimes those changes expose the truth that a relationship no longer fits who you're becoming. It's not about blame, it's about evolution. When you grow, you outgrow. That's the natural order of life. You can't stay in the same place mentally or spiritually and still expect transformation. But as you rise, you'll notice that not everyone can handle your elevation. Some relationships were built for your old level. They made sense when you were broken, confused, or uncertain. They served you when you needed comfort, not challenge. But as you start healing, dreaming, and walking in purpose, those same relationships begin to feel heavy. You sense tension, resistance, and misunderstanding, not because anyone is wrong, because the alignment has shifted. Every connection carries an assignment. Some people come to help you grow, others to test your patience, and a few to reveal what love, trust, or faith truly mean. But when that assignment is complete, the connection often fades. You'll feel it in your spirit before it happens in your circumstances. The conversations that once flowed start to feel forced. The presence that once felt peaceful starts to feel pressured. The bond that once strengthened you now drains you. That's not a sign of betrayal, it's a signal of completion. The challenge is we often fight to keep what God is trying to release. We hold onto people out of a habit, history, or fear. We think letting go means failure. We think it means we didn't love enough or try hard enough. Sometimes love is knowing when to release gracefully. Holding on can turn something once beautiful into something burdensome. You start resenting what you once cherished. You start forcing what was once natural. Love shouldn't require you to lose yourself just to keep someone else. You must understand that endings are not always tragedies. Some endings are actually divine transitions. They make space for what's next. If every relationship stayed forever, there'd be no room for new connections, new lessons, new blessings. The people who left weren't all meant to hurt you. Some were meant to prepare you. Some were bridges to your next season. Some were mirrors reflecting what needed to heal within you. They did their part. Once their purpose was fulfilled, the chapter closed, there's a difference between loyalty and attachment. Loyalty says, I will honor what we had. Attachment says, I can't live without it. But you can. You survived every ending you thought would destroy you. You've rebuilt after heartbreak. You've found peace after loss. You've rediscovered yourself after every goodbye. Every ending became a new beginning in disguise. The key is not to mourn what ended, but to thank it for what it gave you. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means freeing your heart to move forward. It means releasing bitterness, guilt, and resentment. It means accepting that some people will only love you at the version of yourself that no longer exists. And that's okay. You're not meant to shrink just to fit into an old space. Growth demands release. Sometimes people leave abruptly. The friendship fades. The messages stop. The connection turns cold. And you're left wondering what went wrong. But often, nothing went wrong. The spiritual assignment simply ended. Life has a way of removing what no longer serves your future. Instead of chasing what's gone, learn to trust the rhythm of divine timing. Who's meant to stay will never require you to beg them to remain. There's beauty in accepting impermanence. It teaches you to love deeply but hold loosely. It teaches you to be grateful without being possessive. It teaches you to embrace every moment fully, knowing that even if it doesn't last forever, it still has value. Every person you meet contributes a thread to the tapestry of your life. Some threads are long and continuous, others are short but vibrant. Without either, the picture wouldn't be complete. You must also be willing to release with peace. Don't leave relationships with bitterness. Don't let good memories turn sour because of how things ended. Forgive where needed. Bless where you can. Wish well even from a distance. That's how you protect your spirit while honoring your past. Some relationships don't need closure through conversation. They need closure through acceptance. The truth is, permanent relationships are rare, and that's what makes them sacred. Family, lifelong friends, or a committed partner, those are gifts. But even those require maintenance, understanding, evolution. Every bond must adapt as you grow. Otherwise, it stagnates. So while not every relationship is permanent, every one of them can be meaningful. Every connection has a role in shaping your journey. There's also freedom in knowing that losing people doesn't mean losing love. Love doesn't die when people leave. It transforms. It becomes wisdom, gratitude, and compassion. It becomes strength for the next chapter. You carry pieces of every person you've loved, and they carry pieces of you. That's how souls evolve, through connection and release. So if you find yourself in a season of endings, don't fight it, flow with it. Trust that what's leaving is making room for what's better. Let tears fall if they must, but don't let them drown your hope. Every closed door carries the echo of a new opportunity waiting ahead. People meant for your future will align with your purpose, not your past. And when you finally accept that not every relationship is permanent, you find peace. You stop forcing what doesn't fit. You stop chasing what's drifting away. You stop mourning what was never meant to be eternal. Instead, you begin to honor every encounter for what it was, an essential piece of your becoming. Because life isn't about holding on to everyone. I challenge, it's about learning what each person brought into your life and letting that lesson shape you into who you're meant to be. Some people are the roots that anchor you. Others are the wind that moves you. And a few are the storms that transform you. But they all serve a purpose. Every relationship is permanent, and that's the beauty of it. Every connection, every goodbye, every reunion, every ending, they all weave together to form the masterpiece of your destiny. You don't lose by letting go, you grow. And in that growth, you make space for the right people at the right time in the right season to walk beside you on the path of purpose. One of the greatest lessons you will ever learn in life is that alignment is far more important than attachment. Many people spend years holding on to relationships, habits, jobs, or even identities, not because those things are healthy or purposeful, because they are familiar. Attachment makes you stay where you no longer belong. But alignment leads you to where you're meant to be. Attachment holds on to comfort. Alignment walks toward calling. It's easy to confuse attachment with love or loyalty or even faithfulness. We tell ourselves that staying means caring, that holding on means hope. But sometimes holding on is exactly what keeps you from growing. You can't step into destiny while clinging to what no longer aligns with who you're becoming. You can't walk into your next chapter while dragging the weight of an expired one. The truth is, everything or everyone that once fit into your life is meant to stay forever. Seasons shift, and so must you. Alignment means agreement with purpose. It means your relationships, your choices, and your environment are in sync with your higher calling. It's when your actions reflect your values. Your connections feed your spirit, and your life begins to flow with peace instead of pressure. When you are aligned, you don't have to force things. You don't have to chase, beg, or manipulate. What's meant for you naturally finds its way toward you, and what's not meant for you quietly falls away. Attachment doesn't let things fall away easily. Attachment makes you cling to what's fading. It makes you fight for what's draining you. It convinces you that losing something familiar is the same as losing yourself. That's why so many people remain stuck in places they've outgrown. Jobs that suffocate their creativity, friendships that no longer inspire growth, relationships that only survive out of routine. Attachment whispers, stay where it's safe, while alignment whispers, where you'll grow. Attachment feeds fear, alignment feeds faith. Attachment says, I can't imagine my life without this. Alignment says, I trust that my life will expand beyond this. The moment you choose alignment, you stop living by emotions and start living by purpose. You stop asking, what do I want to keep? And start asking, what is meant to continue? There's a reason certain things begin to feel heavy when you evolve. When your spirit rises, anything that doesn't match that frequency becomes uncomfortable. You can't carry old energy into new seasons. Very same people or environments that once felt like home can start to feel like a cage. And if you ignore that discomfort, you'll start shrinking yourself to fit where you no longer belong. You'll start apologizing for your growth and pretending you're fine just to maintain attachments that no longer align. But growth requires release. Every new level demands a lighter load. You can't soar if you refuse to let go of the ground. Alignment may ask you to walk away from people you love, dreams you once held dear, or versions of yourself you thought were permanent. It's painful, yes, but it's also necessary. Because staying attached to the wrong thing will always cost you peace, purpose, and power. When you choose alignment over attachment, you begin to experience divine flow. You stop forcing what's fading and start following what's fulfilling. You no longer chase validation from people who misunderstand your mission. You stop explaining your decisions to those who were never meant to understand your direction. Alignment frees you from needing approval. It roots you in conviction. You begin to realize that peace is your confirmation. If it costs you peace, it's not aligned. Many of us cling to attachment because we fear emptiness. We're afraid that if we let go, there will be nothing left. Emptiness is not punishment, it's preparation. It's space being cleared for what truly belongs. Sometimes God will remove what you're attached to because He knows is blocking what's aligned with your destiny. What feels like loss is often divine reordering. The pruning always comes before the blooming. There's a quiet strength in choosing alignment. It takes courage to say, this no longer serves who I'm becoming. It takes faith to walk away without closure. It takes maturity to accept that you can love someone deeply and still release them gracefully. Alignment doesn't always look like victory. Sometimes it looks like silence, distance, or surrender. But every time you choose alignment, you move closer to purpose, closer to peace, closer to wholeness. Attachment often thrives on history, on how long you've known someone, how much you've invested, or how deeply you've intertwined your identity with them. But longevity doesn't guarantee alignment. You can walk with someone for years and still be walking in different directions. Alignment is not about time, it's about purpose. It's about walking with people who share your vision, who respect your boundaries, who celebrate your growth instead of competing with it. Alignment isn't just about relationships, it's about everything connected to your life. It's about your thoughts, habits, routines, and decisions. If what you do daily doesn't align with who you want to become, you're sabotaging your own progress. Attachment keeps you doing what's familiar even when it's unhealthy. Alignment challenges you to make choices that stretch you toward destiny. It says, I may not be comfortable. I'm becoming who I'm called to be. One of the clearest signs of alignment is peace. When you're aligned, there's no confusion, no chaos, no constant questioning. You might still face challenges, but deep inside, you feel a sense of rightness. Things may not be perfect, but they're purposeful. Peace is proof that you're walking in rhythm with your calling. But when you're operating from attachment, there's always tension. You feel drained, anxious, or restless. You keep trying to fix what's meant to fade. The harder you hold on, the heavier it feels. Choosing alignment doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you start loving yourself enough to prioritize your purpose. It means you stop allowing guilt to keep you bound to what no longer aligns with your future. You can honor what was without remaining stuck in it. Some attachments need closure, others simply need distance. You don't have to hate what you've outgrown. You just have to recognize that you've grown beyond it. And once you begin to walk in alignment, you'll notice how life begins to flow differently. Opportunities find you instead of you chasing them. The right people show up effortlessly. Doors open without force. That's what happens when your energy, actions, and intentions line up with divine direction. Alignment attracts what's yours. Attachment chases what's not. So take inventory of your life. Ask yourself what feels forced, what drains your peace, no longer fits who you're becoming. The answers may not be easy, but they will be freeing. Because alignment will always require honesty. You can't pretend something works when your spirit knows it doesn't. You can't call it loyalty when it's really fear. You can't call it faith when it's actually resistance to change. There's a sacred kind of power that comes from surrendering attachments. You begin to trust that what's meant for you will never require manipulation or misery. You learn that real love doesn't chain. It chooses freely. You discover that purpose-filled living demands room to breathe, and most importantly, you realize that alignment always leads to peace, even when the path there is painful. So let go of what no longer aligns with your spirit. Release what drains you. Detach from what distracts you. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace, for protecting your purpose, for walking in clarity. You were never meant to live bound by fear or tied to the past. You were created to move in freedom, to walk in faith, to live in alignment with destiny. There is a divine connection between the people you walk with and the destiny you walk into. The journey to purpose is never a solo mission. Even the strongest vision will fade in the wrong environment, and even the quietest dream can ignite when it's surrounded by the right people. You can have all the talent, passion, and drive in the world, but if you are constantly surrounded by doubt, fear, and small thinking, you will begin to shrink instead of shine. The right people don't just support your purpose, they fuel it. They remind you of who you are when you forget. They fan the flames of your faith when life tries to put them out. They don't compete with your calling, they complement it. Every person carries a kind of energy. When you interact with someone, you're not just sharing words, you're exchanging spirit, perspective, and power. That's why your company matters so much. The right circle doesn't just make you feel good, it makes you grow. It challenges your comfort zones, calls out your excuses, and stretches your capacity. They see what's inside you before the world does. They don't get intimidated by your light. They help you make it brighter. There are people who will walk into your life and speak to your potential, not your past. They won't allow you to settle for good enough when greatness is within your reach. They'll ask you the hard questions, hold you accountable, and celebrate your progress. The right people won't let you forget your purpose just because the path got hard. They'll remind you that storms don't destroy destiny. They reveal strength. When you're surrounded by those kinds of souls, you find courage in the face of challenges and clarity in the midst of confusion. But when you're surrounded by the wrong people, you start doubting your direction. You begin to absorb their limitations, their fears, and their negativity. You find yourself making yourself smaller to fit into their comfort zone. They may not even be bad people, just not your people. You can't fulfill a divine purpose while constantly explaining your passion to those who lack vision. You can't grow if you're always shrinking to make others feel comfortable. Purpose thrives in partnership, but only with the right kind. The right people don't just walk beside you, they help you walk forward. They understand that purpose requires sacrifice, so they encourage discipline. They understand that growth requires discomfort, so they don't let you quit when it gets hard. They see destiny in you even when life makes you doubt it. They don't feed your weakness, they feed your willpower. And they don't clap only when you win, they stand with you when you fall. Many times, we underestimate the influence of association. You cannot expect to maintain a high level of purpose while constantly being poured into by negative influences. Energy is contagious, attitude is contagious, belief is contagious. And when you walk with people who operate in faith, perseverance, and vision, it begins to change the way you think. You start seeing possibilities where you once saw problems. You start speaking life instead of limitations. You start expecting more because you're connected to people who expect more of you. It's often said that iron sharpens iron. And that's not just a saying. It's a spiritual truth. When you're surrounded by the right people, you're sharpened, strengthened, and refined. They hold you to higher standards. They won't allow you to get comfortable being average when you were called to be exceptional. And when you stumble, they don't gossip about your fall, they help you rise again. That kind of circle is sacred. That kind of support is power. Purpose-driven people understand that connection is currency. Not the kind of currency you can deposit in a bank, but the kind that enriches your soul. When you're aligned with the right individuals, ideas flow more freely. Creativity expands, peace grows. You begin to attract opportunities that match your level of belief. The right people can open doors that talent alone never could. They can speak your name in rooms you've never entered. They can protect your dream when others try to distort it. There's something profoundly spiritual about divine connections. They are not accidental. The right people show up in your life not by coincidence but by design. Sometimes they arrive quietly, without announcement. Other times come through moments of challenge or transition. But when they do, you'll feel it. You'll sense that your life just shifted. Because divine connections don't drain you, they develop you. They don't bring chaos, they bring clarity. They don't just take from your energy, add to your essence. And yet, having the right people around you also requires discernment. Not everyone who smiles at you is for you. Not everyone who claps for you believes in you. You must learn to recognize who feeds your faith and who feeds your fear. The right people will pray with you, not prey on you. They'll tell you the truth, even when it hurts. They'll respect your boundaries, celebrate your wins, and correct you with love. These are the people who help you become the fullest version of yourself. When you find yourself surrounded by such people, protect that circle. Value it. Nurture it. Don't take it for granted. It's rare to find people who genuinely want to see you win without needing to take credit for it. The right people don't use your weakness against you. They cover it while helping you strengthen it. They don't envy your success. They are inspired by it. They don't compare their lane to yours. They remind you to keep running your race. Sometimes, the most loving thing the right people will do is challenge your excuses. They won't let you play small or settle for safe. Call you out when you start doubting yourself, and they'll call you up to your potential. You might not always like what they say, but deep down, you'll know they say it because they care. Purpose thrives in truth, and the right people will always bring truth, even when it's uncomfortable. It's important to understand that right people don't mean perfect people. They have flaws too. They'll make mistakes. They'll disappoint you at times. Their heart for you remains pure. They're not in your life to control you. They're there to contribute to your growth. The difference is in intention. Wrong people drain you to fill their emptiness. Right people pour into you because they want to see you overflow. When you're surrounded by the right people, your vision gets sharper, your focus gets stronger, your confidence grows. You start to believe again in things you once gave up on. You begin to heal in spaces where you once hid. You rediscover your voice, your passion, and your identity. The right people will remind you that your story isn't over, even when life has convinced you otherwise. Look around your life right now. Speaks life into you. Who challenges you to evolve? Who believes in your calling when you can't see it clearly yourself? Those are the ones who fuel your purpose. Keep them close. Feed those connections. Because purpose doesn't grow in isolation. It flourishes through divine association. If you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, you must walk with the right people. Every great destiny requires a supportive circle. Behind every purpose-driven individual is a group of people who prayed, believed, and invested in that purpose. When you're surrounded by the right people, even your silence speaks power because your energy is protected, your vision is reinforced, and your heart is at peace. So stop entertaining relationships that drain your strength and distract your focus. Start surrounding yourself with people who push you toward purpose. Walk with dreamers, believers, thinkers, and doers. Those who see greatness in you even when you're tired of seeing it yourself. Let your circle reflect your destiny, not your history. Because the right people don't just walk with you, they ignite what's within you. And when you finally align with those people, you'll notice something shift. Your ideas will flow. Your passion will return. Your confidence will rise. You'll find yourself operating with more joy, more direction, more fire. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when you're fueled by the right people. They become the wind beneath your purpose, helping you soar higher than you could ever go alone. The people you surround yourself with are not just a part of your social life. They are a reflection of your spiritual alignment, your mindset, and your destiny. Your circle should not simply consist of those who are comfortable with where you've been, but those who are equipped to walk with you toward where you're going. The truth is, not everyone can handle the weight of your calling. Everyone is meant to understand your mission. Your circle should reflect your calling, not your comfort zone. When you're called to something greater, you cannot afford to keep company with people who think small, speak out, or live without direction. You can't expect to walk in purpose while being surrounded by people who are satisfied with wandering. Your circle has to match your mindset. If your calling is high, your company must be higher. If your purpose requires growth, your relationships must inspire it. Because whether you realize it or not, your circle shapes your spirit. Every person you allow into your inner circle becomes a voice in your head, an influence on your energy, part of your atmosphere. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, you will start to lose vision. If you're always around people who gossip, complain, and criticize your creativity and confidence will begin to dry up. You can't keep letting people pour poison into your purpose and expect to walk in peace. Protecting your circle isn't arrogance, it's awareness. The people who truly reflect your calling are not those who, always agree with you. They are the ones who keep you accountable to who you said you want to be. They don't just clap for your success, they challenge your stagnation. They remind you of your vision when you're tempted to settle. They don't let you get comfortable being average when greatness is in your DNA. They don't feed your fears, they strengthen your faith. When your circle reflects your calling, conversations are different. You talk about growth, not gossip. You discuss purpose, not people. You exchange ideas, not insecurities. You celebrate discipline, not drama. You spend time around those who speak life into your future, who see your potential even in your process, who refuse to let you forget what you're capable of. But too often, people cling to circles that reflect their past rather than their purpose. They surround themselves with familiarity instead of focus. It's easy to stay where you're comfortable, but comfort zones breed stagnation. Sometimes the hardest part of walking in your calling is realizing that some relationships can't come with you. The same people who were perfect for your previous season may not be equipped for your next one, and that's okay. Growth requires separation before elevation. If you're serious about fulfilling your calling, you must be intentional about your circle. Every connection should serve a purpose, either pushing you forward or grounding you in faith. It doesn't mean you cut off everyone who's different from you. It means you discern who has access to your inner space. Not everyone deserves to sit in the front row of your life. Some people were only meant to observe from a distance. The deeper your calling, the smaller your circle often becomes. Your calling carries weight. It requires focus, faith, and clarity. And when you share space with people who are not aligned with that energy, the weight of their confusion can drain your strength. You'll start questioning your path, doubting your gifts, lowering your standards just to keep the peace. But peace built on compromise is not peace. It's quiet chaos. The wrong circle can destroy the right calling. When your circle reflects your calling, you'll notice that you're no longer surrounded by competition, but collaboration. The right people don't compare. They contribute. They don't envy your progress. They celebrate it. They're not threatened by your light. They help it shine brighter. They pray for you when you're weak, stand with you when you're weary, and remind you of your purpose when life gets heavy. The strength of your circle becomes the strength of your spirit. Many people ask why they feel stuck, uninspired, or constantly drained. Often, the answer lies in their associations. You can't build a vision with people who lack vision. You can't expect motivation from those who are married to mediocrity. You can't expect elevation from those who are afraid of heights. If your circle doesn't challenge you to grow, it's not a circle, it's a cage. When you begin to walk in your purpose, your energy shifts, your priorities change. You no longer find fulfillment in meaningless conversations or temporary distractions. That's when you'll notice certain people drifting away. And that's not rejection, that's redirection. God will begin to remove people who cannot handle your next level. Don't chase what's leaving. If they were meant to stay, they'd be able to grow with you. You need people in your circle who understand your vision even when it's not fully visible. People who don't mock your process because they believe in your potential. People who speak life when others speak doubt. People who can discern your pain without needing your explanation. Those are the ones who reflect your calling. They're not there because of what you can give them. They're there because of who you are becoming. Your calling is sacred. It's not for everyone to understand or access. That's why protecting your circle is a form of stewardship. The right circle will push you closer to your purpose, while the wrong one will keep you circling around the same problems. You have to know who brings peace and who brings pressure, who adds value and who adds noise. There will be times when walking in your calling feels lonely because few people are willing to live at that level of intentionality. But don't mistake solitude for isolation. Sometimes God separates you before He surrounds you with the right people. He'll strip away the superficial so He can connect you to the spiritual. And when the right ones come, you'll know. Their presence won't drain you, it'll develop you. Their influence won't distract you. It'll direct you. Their energy won't compete with yours, it will complement it. When your circle reflects your calling, you find balance. You have encouragers who lift you, mentors who guide you, and peers who inspire you. You have friends who tell you the truth with love, and partners who share your burden with grace. You don't have to explain your fire to them. They've seen it before, and they know what it takes to keep it burning. That kind of alignment creates momentum. It makes you unstoppable. Your circle should also remind you to stay humble. True friends will celebrate your success without letting it inflate your ego. They'll remind you that your purpose is service, not status. They'll challenge you to keep your heart right even when your life rises. They'll hold you accountable not just for your goals, but for your growth. Those are the kind of people who help you stay grounded while you're going higher. As you continue to pursue your calling, take time to examine your circle. Who are you allowing to shape your thoughts, influence your mood, or speak into your vision? Does your circle reflect your potential, or does it reflect your past? Does it stretch your faith or feed your fear? And care enough, the people around you should mirror the direction you're headed, not the distractions you've overcome. Don't be afraid to redefine your relationships as you evolve. You're not being cold. You're being called. You're not walking away. You're walking up. You're not rejecting people. You're protecting purpose. The company you keep will either sharpen your calling or silence it. Choose wisely. Your circle is a mirror of your mission. If you want to live purposefully, walk with people who live with purpose. If you want to grow, walk with growers. If you want to lead, walk with leaders. If you want to make an impact, walk with people who are already making one. Because when your circle reflects your calling, you'll find yourself moving in rhythm with destiny itself. The beautiful thing is, when your circle reflects your calling, you won't have to fight for connection. The right people will recognize your purpose, honor your process, and walk beside you with peace. Together, you'll push each other higher, challenge each other deeper, and inspire each other to become everything you were created to be. That is the power of a circle that truly reflects your calling. It doesn't just walk with you, it awakens you. There comes a time in every person's life when the desire to rise collides with the demand to release. You cannot go higher and hold on to everything that's familiar at the same time. Growth always comes with a cost. One of the greatest costs of elevation is separation. It's not punishment, it's preparation. It's not rejection, it's redirection. Every new level of your life will require a new level of you, and that new version cannot exist while you're still clinging to what once was. Elevation sounds exciting when we talk about it in theory. New doors opening, opportunities unfolding, purpose being revealed. What we don't often talk about is the silent, painful side of it, the separation, the letting go, the walking away. Because to ascend, you must lighten the load. You can't soar while carrying the weight of old relationships, outdated mindsets, or expired seasons. Some things and some people simply cannot survive in the atmosphere of your next level. When an airplane ascends, the air pressure changes. The higher it goes, the thinner the air becomes, and not everything is designed to handle that altitude. In the same way, as you rise in purpose, your spiritual and emotional atmosphere shifts. Conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. Habits that once satisfied you now feel shallow. Environments that once fit you now feel restrictive. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. You've grown. Growth naturally creates distance from anything that refuses to evolve with you. Separation can feel lonely, but it's sacred. It's in the moments when you walk alone that you hear your own voice more clearly. You begin to recognize which desires are truly yours and which were influenced by others. You start to understand your strength, your values, your vision. When God separates you, He's not taking something from you. He's making space for what's meant for you. You cannot receive new blessings while your hands are still holding on to what's expired. Sometimes the people you thought would celebrate your elevation are the first to question it. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right. You were never meant to stay the same. Growth demands transformation. The caterpillar doesn't apologize for becoming a butterfly. You shouldn't apologize for outgrowing your surroundings. If your circle gets smaller, it's not because you're too good, it's because you're becoming too focused. Separation doesn't always mean cutting people off with bitterness or anger. It means recognizing that not every connection is meant to continue. Some relationships were built for your past, not your purpose. They helped you survive. They can't help you soar. There are people who are good for your heart, but not for your destiny. You can love them deeply and still know they can't go with you. True maturity is learning to bless people as you release them. The hardest part about elevation is the in between, the season where you've let go of what was but haven't yet reached what will be. That space feels uncertain and uncomfortable. It's the wilderness between Egypt and the promised land. It's where old habits no longer fit, but new ones haven't fully formed. It's where faith is tested and character is refined. But if you endure that season, you'll come out stronger, wiser, and ready to handle the weight of your next level. Many people desire elevation, but resist separation. They want growth without discomfort, breakthrough without pruning, purpose without process. But that's not how transformation works. A tree cannot reach higher without first shedding its leaves. The pruning may look painful, but it's actually making room for new fruit. Likewise, separation prunes your life so that your energy, focus, and faith can flourish. You must understand that every elevation comes with exposure. God begins to lift you. He exposes who and what can't handle the altitude. Not because those people are evil, because they're not equipped for where you're going. Some will misunderstand your silence. Others will misinterpret your distance. But you don't owe everyone an explanation for your evolution. Some things can only be understood in hindsight once the fruit of your obedience becomes visible. Elevation also requires separating from old versions of yourself. Sometimes the person you need to distance from most is the one you used to be. You can't step into your next season still carrying the insecurities, fears, and doubts of your last one. The habits that kept you comfortable cannot carry you into destiny. You have to let go of self-sabotage, people-pleasing, and the need for validation. You have to trust that who you're becoming is worth leaving behind who you were. Separation teaches you the beauty of solitude. When you no longer depend on noise to feel valuable, you start to find peace and stillness. When you stop chasing validation, you begin to attract authenticity. You start realizing that not everyone deserves access to your energy. You become selective about where you invest your time and who gets to influence your spirit. That's not pride, it's protection. Because your peace is a prerequisite for your purpose. There will be moments when separation feels unfair. You'll question why certain people left or why certain doors closed. But sometimes God removes people and opportunities not because they're bad, because they're too small for your future. What once fit perfectly now feels tight because you've outgrown it. Discomfort isn't a sign of something going wrong, it's a signal that it's time to rise. When you finally embrace separation, something shifts inside you. You stop clinging to what's fading and start focusing on what's forming. You no longer waste time trying to convince others to understand your journey. You learn that peace is better than popularity. Purpose is better than approval, and that growth is worth the loneliness it sometimes brings. Elevation also requires you to separate from distractions disguised as opportunities. Not every open door is a divine one. Some doors lead to detours. When you're desperate to rise, it's easy to say yes to everything that looks good. Discernment reminds you that timing and alignment matter more than appearance. Separation allows you to see clearly what's meant for you and what's meant to test you. And when you finally reach a new level, you'll understand why separation was necessary. You'll look back and realize that the people who left made space for those who truly support your purpose. You'll see that the loneliness birthed clarity. Challenge you to love enough. You'll thank God for the doors that closed because they protected you from distractions that would have destroyed your focus. Every moment of isolation was setting the stage for elevation. You cannot soar with the same wings that once walked. You cannot carry excess weight into an atmosphere designed for flight. Every eagle must leave the nest. Every dreamer must walk away from comfort. Every purpose-driven person must endure a season of separation before the season of manifestation. Because it's in the quiet distance that you grow strong enough to handle the noise of success. If you're feeling distant, misunderstood, or isolated, don't despise the separation. It's sacred. It means you're being refined for a greater purpose. You're not losing, you're aligning. You're not abandoned, you're being advanced. You're not being broken, you're being built. Separation is the soil where elevation takes root. So release the guilt, embrace the silence, and trust the shift. Every tear, every goodbye, every closed door is carving space for something divine. Enough. What you're leaving behind can't compare to what's ahead. When the time is right, the very people who doubted your distance will witness your deliverance. Because elevation always requires separation. You can't carry everyone. You can't take everything. But when you finally let go of what no longer belongs, you'll discover that rising was never about leaving others behind. It was about meeting the higher version of you that's been waiting all along.